Welcome everyone back to another video from Twisted Dice. Today we have got none other than Captain Franco. That's not your nickname, is it? Well, what nickname did we give you?
I don't have a nickname.
We've got to think of one. Let's put it out to the audience on what we can come up with Franco with a nickname. Hopefully you've watched a couple of battle reports and seen Franco play with his children of Nurgle and his demonettes. No, you haven't got demonettes, have you? You just like demonettes.
I like all chaos. Demons are my main thing, but I like all chaos.
But we're not talking demons today. No, sir, we are
Oh.
not. We are talking none other than Necrons.
Yeah,
And what we expect, or what Franco expects to see in ninth. Now, I'm not going to confess that I'm an expert on Necrons at all. I've had a few Necron models in the past and never actually got to play them because I never... they just weren't that colourful enough for me to put on the battlefield, and I always like bright, colourful colours, and they just never really appealed. However, Franco, we've seen so many cool things with Necrons, which we're going to touch on a little bit. I know that part's been out on the internet already. Like, people have probably talked to death on regards to that. So this video is talking about what we expect to see in ninth with Necrons and how powerful we expect them to be, and some of the cool things we're going to hopefully touch on with the protocol, the reanimation
protocols.
Yep. They're like the proper new Terminators, where like Terminator 1, where the damn thing just doesn't die. You have to put it in a compressor before you put the thing bloody down. And I bet the Necrons will still get back up from that. You're like, oh, God damn you, mother. I will say, and this has nothing really to do with any of this, but I remember years ago, right, when Necrons first come out, and I remember how powerful Necrons were right at the beginning, and I remember being a real big Chaos player, and I had a real good Chaos force, and was just hammering the hell out of these Necrons, and it just broke my heart when they just kept on getting their wounds back, and they just can't getting back up. I was like, oh, come on! How can I deal with this? I can't deal with it at all. They're just getting me.
Necrons are fun. I love.
Oh, and it sounds like what we were talking about earlier. Potential could be even better, but let's talk about it, Franco. Let's talk about it. So talk to me about Necrons.
So Necron. So it looks like they're going to be one of the main focuses for this new edition, which is cool. So for me, a lot of people know me as a Chaos player, but when I started this hobby many years ago, I started with Necrons. So Necrons were my first love, and I have a special place in my heart for Necrons. And to me, they are definitely one of the coolest factions in 40k. I know a lot of people see them as boring. I personally don't. I think they're awesome, and they're just something so cool about like zombie skeletons that just won't die. They just keep getting back up, and so I think in ninth, in eighth they were overshadowed a lot. You know, they were quite bottom of the pack for a lot of it. They were good. They still had some play, but I think most of the time they were just overshadowed by everyone else. So in ninth, they're actually getting, finally getting that forefront, that chance to shine and be the big boys of the edition, which I'm really excited for. And we know they're getting a lot of new cool models, especially in this new box. And I think in their new codex, which hopefully comes out August, September time, fingers crossed. I think we're going to get a lot of changes. I think the way Necrons play now... I reckon
we're going to see that July time.
I don't think so, because I think the edition will go on pre-order. I think the 11th is the mid-Saturday of the month, and then you normally have about a 2-week pre-order space for a new edition, so which will take it to the end of the month. So I don't think July, but I do think August. I think everyone expected to get Rules and Pariah in the last Psychic Awakening, which I actually am happy they didn't, because them not getting it, first of all, means we don't have to pay twice for the same rules in the Pariah and in the Codex. More importantly, that shows that they're actually closer than we thought. So I do think probably mid-August we could start to get the new Cron stuff, the new Codex,
That would be
new
cool.
units, and I'm so excited because obviously we're getting this box set, and in this box set there are quite a few units that we don't have that don't exist currently, like being like the Plasmancer with the Crypto Thralls, the Scorpec Lords and Destroyers, the Canopset Reanimator, the Plasma Sight. So there's quite a lot. Oh, and the Royal Warden as well. So
It's
a lot
interesting
of
because,
units
like,
that exist at the moment.
regards with like what we see in the Necron, the new stuff that's coming from Necrons, I think this has probably been the, apart from Space Marines. Space Marines always get love. Every new edition, they always get new models, and they always get like a fistful of good models. I think this is probably the first time that we've seen a new edition and another fraction come with like so many new cool toys. Not just one new toy, but the biggest overhaul on the model range.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so with last edition or this edition, still the 8th edition, obviously Death Guard, though Death Guard existed, didn't have their full range. So obviously the Death Guard range got a whole lot of stuff. So they definitely got a lot. But I think with the Necrons, the thing is with the Necrons is every time they get a big release. So obviously they got their 4th edition Codex. They didn't have a lot of options, but they were still cool. Then they got their 5th/6th. Can't speak. 6th
Spit your
edition.
words out, man. Just like
I know. And they got
get it out there.
I know a lot of new units and a whole like overhaul of how they like their backstory, their fluff.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. And then since then they've got a codex with a model, so it's nice now. I think about 9 years since the last big release they got, for them to now be back on top. And I know there are still some armies that probably could have used it. Like I think Elder have been they haven't really had a massive release in a while.
Don't care for Elder. It's fine. They've just been the powerhouse for a while now. They're kind of finding themselves on the shelf again. So, bye-bye.
I mean,
it's the return of the Spider.
Orcs haven't had
Spider has his revenge.
Exactly. The Orcs haven't had a massive, like a proper release in a while. They've had a unit here and there. Like they had the Buggies a couple years ago. I know that's quite close to your heart. So
yes,
I think an army like Orcs would need quite a big overhaul of units and that. But Necrons, so we're getting new Necron warriors, which is one of the most exciting things for me. The most exciting thing for me is new destroyers, because destroyers are probably my favorite unit in the game. Like backstory wise, not rules wise, backstory wise, I love the destroyers. I've always loved their look, back from when they were like guys in chairs with a gun to now being like just insane Necrons like attached to a floating platform. Like they're so cool, and these new Lockhouse destroyers look absolutely amazing. And obviously there's some talk that the current destroyer kit isn't going away and this is like an addition to it, and I disagree with that, because as we've seen with some of the other stuff they're bringing out, they're getting rid of the old plastic rods. It wouldn't make sense for them to keep the old destroyers.
I like the old plastic rods, and I think if I did a Necron army, I think I'd be more inclined to be that guy that goes back to the old ways and like cut them all out and then get green rods and like, yeah, I've gone back to the old ways, and then get a lot of sticker tournaments for it.
Yeah, but I mean, when I think I was, how old was I? About 11 when I first started the hobby, and that was the thing. Well, the picture on the old 4th edition codex was what originally drew me into them. But then when I saw the green rods, like no other army had anything like that. They were very different. Just like, that's cool. The older I've looked at it more and gone, it's a little bit tacky now, but it was still unique. So
yeah.
But like with all my current warriors, like my classic normal warriors that we currently have, I've well, not the classic ones, they're not the metal ones, but the plastic ones. I've replaced all my green rods now with can't remember where they came from, but they came from a bit site, a third party site, and you get like these new like resin, and they're really cool, and they look similar to what we're getting in 9th for the new stuff. But Necrons just overall, they're so cool, and I'm so happy that they're getting this love, because they haven't. I think they were one of the factions that really needed it, and I'm so happy that they're going to be like such a big part, at least the start of the edition. But yeah, I'm so excited. I can't wait for this new box set. There's a lot of new stuff in this new box set, and that's what I was saying earlier. Is I can't see the codex being too far off, because there's a lot of box set, and obviously you're getting you'll get the rules in the box set as well, but it's not the same as having the codex.
The codex itself. So what do we see is going to be the powerful units in ninth?
In ninth, so for Necrons, yeah. So
Yeah. Of course, look, we don't know anything. We don't know. We haven't got no privy to any secret information. So this is just us guessing in a way, and going
so,
by experience
yeah.
and like, yeah. So before you jumping up around, bah, please, it's
No,
just a
this is totally personal opinion, so people will disagree. I think.
But look, drop comments down below. Like, if anything we're saying today, you've watched and you think, actually, look, don't agree with that, but I think this is going to be really good with Necrons. Please drop some comments down below. Like, I love it when we have a little debate going on a video we posted. It's freaking awesome. I know that everyone has different opinions and thoughts and views, and it's really interesting. And I love all that. So please drop some comments down below. You tell us what you think. So join the conversation, please. It'd be really friggin' awesome. And again, if you want to, come join us on Facebook as well. Please do. Don't forget. Let's carry on, Franco.
Yes. So I'm going to start with a unit that I don't think is going to be too good in ninth, and I know you were saying you do think they're going to be good. I'm going to start with destroyers. Now, the biggest reason obviously they're getting new weapons. We still don't know the full extent of is this kit an add-on? Is it a brand new kit? We don't know yet, but we know they're getting a couple of different weapon options, and they will still be good, and they still have a lot of long range and some decent firepower. The problem is something that made destroyers so good last edition was the fly keyword. I mean, anything but the fly keyword is immediately generally quite good.
Yeah.
Because the fly keyword is probably the best keyword in the game. Well, obviously now with the fly keyword now is you can fall back from combat, still shoot as normal. Now in ninth they've got rid of that, so you can no longer fall back and shoot, and that definitely hits destroyers massively. Now I still think they're going to have parts to play. Still having the fly keyword is massive. Being able to jump around freely is nice, and they ignore -1 penalties for moving and shooting with heavy weapons anyway because they're destroyers.
Yeah. That's if they've still got the role. That's if they've still got the role, of course.
If they've still got it. If they've still got it, we don't know. But I still think they're going to be decent. I just think that's going to hit them very hard. Same with Doomsday Arcs. Same with Ghost Arcs. Annihilation Barges, which weren't amazing. Which is a shame because I love Annihilation Barges. I really hope that they get a bit more love in this edition. Units I think that will be good. I think the new Scorpec Destroyers I think are going to be very good because this edition, smaller tables, more combat focused. Overwatch now being a strat except for Tau. So I think that Scorpec Destroyers are going to be brutal. I mean, we've already seen the profile for one of their weapons, which I think was +2 strength, AP -4, damage 3 on one of their swords.
Yeah.
Which is just brutal. Plus, we don't know how fast they're going to go, what extra rules they're going to have, strats that affect them. So I think they're going to be quite a good shout. So one of the newer units we're getting is called it's a character, the Royal Warden. Basically, he's just a fancy immortal, but I think it's going to be similar to like Space Marine Lieutenants. So he'll give a buff, maybe, I don't know, he'll give them something. I think he could be quite cool. Add quite a bit of flavour into the army. Now, I think as well, with the way the character rules now work, you have to be a lot more careful with characters. I think units that have the ability to target characters anyway are already very good. So I think this is more hope, because I've always loved them, and sniper units are always cool. If you can have an option to take a sniper unit, I think a lot of people do just because the idea of guys with snipers in 40k is just so cool. And death marks in the background are so awesome, but since their rules have come out back in 5th edition, they've always been a bit meh. So I think this is more wish list, and I hope in this new edition that they get something that makes them better, either make the synaptic disintegrators just better, have a longer range or better strength AP, giving them something that just makes them a bit better, a bit more takeable would be nice, because I love them. They're very cool models. The background of them is very cool, and they actually do have some cool rules as well. I think
with a smaller board type now, I know people say that it's not that much smaller, but it is. And I think like with Necrons, they've always been mid-table. They're not been long range. So this edition for Necrons is going to be really, really powerful because you've got that smaller board. That means that you're going to have more things getting into fire range a lot quicker, and it's going to be less hiding room for your opponent. So Necrons this edition, they're going to friggin' love it. I know this edition is going to be more for the close combat side, but I really feel that Necrons will have that ability. At the moment, they can push out a lot of firepower, and they can delete a lot of stuff off at the moment just by sheer fire. So with this new edition and having that smaller board type, it means your opponent's going to really struggle trying to hide as much as they did in the past. So being Necrons, if you were going up against a long-range firing army, so like Tau, potentially Elder. Elder has some really long firing range on some of their stuff, don't they? So, and Guard as well. Let's not forget Guard, because Guard is more, let's just pummel the hell out of you before you get anywhere near us, because as soon as you get near us, it's kind of like you're shutting us down, so we need to destroy you before you get anywhere near the Guard faction. So Necrons having that ability, having a smaller board, means you've got less chance of your opponent, going to the backside of the board and hiding away. And I think that's going to be absolutely massive in this game. And I was going to say, I know we think it's going to be more combat oriented. I still think shooting is going to play a massive great part.
Shooting will always be king in this edition, in this game. Sorry, I just think that combat's going to have a lot better of a chance to. Combat's no longer going to be air combat, whatever. I think combat now is going to be a big part. Like, you can competitively use like combat armies and the combat mechanic. Shooting will always be the king of the game. Sorry, that will never change. Going back to what was revealed in one of the streams, though, talking about the way the new Necrons are going to play or how they're trying to change it. Something they did say was, so obviously they want to make them more grindy. So I think they are going to be a lot more infantry-based Necrons. They're already a mid-range army. They are quite famous for being a lot of 24-inch range, 24 to 36-inch range weapons. So I think they were saying a lot of getting to the middle of the board and planting your feet down, being grindy, hard to remove. Something else which was quite interesting was a lot more guns was something they said. A lot more shooty, like a lot more emphasis on the whole being grindy, being shooty. So I think what you said there will ring very true. I think they're going to be an army that's going to have a lot of that mid-range 24-inch firepower. We know we've seen a couple weapons. Well, we've seen the new Necron Warrior weapons, the Gorse Reapers, which are they're only 14-inch range, but they're rapid fire, 1 strength 5, AP -2, 1 damage. So they're like a short-range Gorse blaster, but on a cheaper body. So I think as well, as much as immediately they don't jump off paper because of the short range, I think with less space on the board, a lot more clashing together, I think that they might actually be not a bad option.
Yeah, sure. And like if you've got a new way of getting those guys up the table, deep strike. You've got the before you got the Croissant. I'm going to call it Croissant. It's not the Croissant, is it?
Night fights.
And they can deep strike stuff in. So yes, okay, 18 inches doesn't sound that great, but if you've got the ability then to have one of those fly bars and drop down within 9, all of a suddenly, 18 inches is not actually that bad. And if it's a cheaper model, then that's powerful. That's really, really powerful.
And actually, on that subject, another 2 units that I think are going to be very good this edition is Night Scythes and Doom Scythes, which are both the Necron Flyers. Because I used to run them a lot in 5th, well, more 6th when Flyers became a real thing. 6th and 7th edition, when you could fly off the board, come back on. You had a lot of maneuverability and free movement with the Flyers.
It's interesting. Have we seen anything in regards with the flying rule where, like back in 6, is it 6? You come in turn 2.
Yeah. So I don't think they're changing that. I think you still start on the board like you did in 8th. But obviously now you can't be move blocked like to die anymore. Now you can fly off the board. You come back on next turn. I remember back in 6th and 7th, obviously you didn't start on the board with Flyers. They used to fly on turn 2 and do their thing.
Because that was quite powerful. Because if you had a ship an aircraft that managed to deploy your troops where you need them to go, that meant that you're really not going to get in combat until turn 3. And that really hurt because I used to run 6, end of 5th going into 6th. I used to run Grey Knights with my Storm Ravens. 5th, I used to be able to get them in combat turn 2. Turn 6th edition, it meant I couldn't get them in until turn 3. And that changed, that spun that army list completely on its head. So I was interested on that because, again, that would be like where we're saying about these guys coming in within 18 inches, having lots of shots on their weapons. If that changed, like they don't come in until turn 2, yes, okay, turn 2, it'd be turn 3 before you actually get them potentially down on the table and actually do what they need to do. So it could be the case of turn 2, if they still stick to the edition we've got at the moment, the way the flyers interact at the moment, it'll be turn 2 is when they're going to come to life. So you're going to have a whole turn of making sure that you position them in the right position to make sure that, okay, I've got enough threat coming up the board here that my opponent now has to decide on, do I take these flyers out that's coming out, in and going to hammer the hell out of me next turn, or do I focus upon the fire upon the destroyers that's coming up the board?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I think threat saturation is still going to be a big thing in this edition. Thing is with night scythes is they can be a bit dodgy. Like the thing with this edition where they start on the board, it's quite easy just to blow them off the board and then damage the unit inside, or whatever. But I think with the Doom Scythes, I do think they're going to be very, very good. They no longer suffer penalties to move and shoot anymore, which is fantastic. So now they no longer hit on 4s with their Dooms, Death Ray, sorry. The stratagem they already had with the D3 Mortal Wound Bomb is amazing. Yeah, I think flyers will be decent in this edition. I think they won't have as much of a focus for certain armies like Eldar as they used to. But I think with the Necrons, I think in this coming edition, I think infantry is definitely going to be a big play. I think you're going to see, because I think Necrons are going to be one of the few armies that can take bigger units and not worry, because obviously now with blast rules or blast weapons having a big effect, which is cool. I'm really happy that they're doing something with blast weapons. That kind of puts you off taking large units, like units of 11 plus, because obviously you're getting max 6 shots or max shots on whatever the dice roll is.
Yeah, being an orc player, it does make me think about it, but
yeah,
I suppose, like, okay, granted that blast weapons are going to be powerful against Horde, but in the same sense, though, are you going to start making sure that your guys are all armed with blast weapons, or are you going to aim for other weapons? Because I could be that guy that turns up with the 90 Orc Boys, right? And then the meta at the moment is like, we've got to take on these big single vehicle things, and because it's now going elite, and so it's okay. Yeah, you're going to have one army that's potentially going to be a counteract for yourself, but it may be a case of you may find armies still not going down that thing. So, and I still think that you can get around the blast weapons.
Yeah. No, definitely. That's what I was saying as well. Like, as you said, I think this edition, because they're very pushing vehicles and elite-ish armies. Oh, you want to take some stuff to do with monsters and vehicles. That's why, being someone who likes to utilize horde-like elements of a list anyway, and like yourself as well, your Orc Boys, I don't think 20 Necron Warriors is going to be a bad idea. Or 15 Necron Warriors, 15, 20 Necron Warriors, a couple units of them, units of 10 Immortals, stuff like that. I think, especially for Necrons, especially if Reanimation Protocols is getting a really big rework.
Yeah.
Which is, the way they've explained it does sound quite cool. Fingers crossed it is really good. I think that, like you said, so many people are going to be so focused. All right, armies will still have blast weapons, but blast weapons, a lot of them will do 6 shots at most.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Obviously, you have the few exceptions. Rapid-fire battle cannons, 12 shots. Certain guard vehicles being able to do 12 shots. So there is some exceptions. But, I mean, if you can take a bit of a mixture between, like, a horde-like element plus some more, like, heavier vehicles, which Necrons can definitely do, Orcs can do as well, I think you're giving your opponent a decision of, do you want to fire this big heavy weapon and get like max shots at my Necron Warriors, or do you want to fire it at, say, my Ghost or my Doomsday Arc or my Night Scythe or Doom Scythe or whatever? So I think this edition is definitely trying to push away from hordes, but I do think that there will still be a place for certain horde armies, not all horde armies, but there will be certain horde armies or armies that can provide a horde element that's definitely going to play a big part in this edition. and I do think Necrons are going to play like that. I think infantry heavy, kind of get to that middle of the board, plonk their feet down, and go, "We're here.
Shift
We're
me.
going to shoot. We're going to shoot the living hell out of you. You need to shoot me back. We're not going to go down."
Well, look,
Not
as you said, going upon the live stream, they talked about the protocol reanimation and that again, and how that's going to be more improved, going by what they said on the live stream.
Yep.
So if you have now got an army that can plonk themselves down in the middle of the board and become a massive, great threat in the middle of the board, again, smaller table sizes means that your weapons have got more of a chance of hitting the corners.
Definitely.
Less places for your guys to hide. So Necrons in this next edition could be really frigging powerful. And I think Idic Beer, I think he's going to be frigging loving himself at the moment because, the guy is known for being the Necron king. So he's going to really, this edition for him is going to be absolutely frigging awesome, and you're going to absolutely love it for the tournament side, because if you are taking a Horde type army and you're sitting in the middle of the board and you're going, look, deal with me, you can't, because if you don't clear me off, my protocol reanimation is just going to get me back up again, and it's just going to be a real scary threat. And I think even
go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, even though as we go through the edition, rules change, etc., I still think that Necrons will play a massive great part all the way through, right until the end of 9th, going into 10th.
Yeah, they definitely could. I mean, like we've already said as well, I think a lot of people are going to go, because I think this edition was very much, when it comes to shooting, quantity of shots over quality of shots. So I think with a lot of people no longer taking things like assault cannons or, say, heavy bolters or stuff like that, and they're taking more las cannons and multi-melters. I'm like, cool. Instead of firing 15 heavy bolter shots on my Necron warrior unit, you're firing 4 las cannons. Wow.
What is the thing? You didn't really see, or I didn't really see many armies that took melters, las cannons. It was right. Let's arm up with as many shots as possible. The heavy, as you say, heavy bolters, the smaller shots, and it's me and John talked about this in the past. It's better to turn up to a battle with loads of steam weapons that can chip away at a model, opposed to putting all your eggs in one basket on one shot that can do multiple damage. And the shadow sword that I had, I think that was a prime example. It was really, if you fired that off and it hit, it really did take a massive great chunk out of whatever you were shooting at. But the problem is, if it didn't hit, it didn't do that great. And Sean said once, why don't you take the other one with the Vulcan Mega Bolter, where it's got 40 shots and it does I can't remember the exact the exact rules on it, but it was just, in stat wise, it worked out better than more survivability than the actual the Shadow Sword. But
tying it back to Necron, that's why I think for Necron Immortals, the thing since they got their options was it's always been a Tesla versus Gorse, which is better. And in 6th and 7th, Gorse was king. In 8th, Tesla was definitely the winner, because it was Tesla automatically have 2 shots at 24 inches, where Gorse is, the Gorse blasters are rapid fire 1 at 24, so they get 2 shots in 12. Okay, Gorse has -2 AP, but when you've got 2 shots at 24 inches, that on a 6 does 2 additional hits, especially when you were able to get to make that on hit better, on 5+ with My Will Be Done, which unfortunately a theme that we're starting to see is a lot of them extra shots or stuff that happens on a 6+ are being changed to unmodified rolls of 6. So I do think Tesla's going to go that way. And another reason why I think Tesla and all weapons that put out a lot of shots are going to go behind weapons that have a better AP and a better damage in this edition. So again, tying it back to Necrons, I think if we look at Immortals, Tesla versus Gorse, I think Gorse is definitely going to be the better option. And I think a lot of armies are going to go for more quality over quantity, like they did in past editions, rather than where this edition it was quantity over quality. And then that plays into the Horde element, because you'll see armies taking a lot less shots. Not all armies, there will still be people that will take armies with a lot of shots. But there will be probably less armies with putting out hundreds or 100-odd shots a turn, where they're putting out 20, 30, 40, 50 decent shots or whatever. For a Horde army, especially an army like Necrons, where they'll think the way I think they're going to play, I just think that they're going to be, at least to start the edition, I think people will catch on eventually, but for the first year, 6 months to a year of the edition, I think Necrons are going to be, a lot higher than what they were ending this edition. I think they're going to be quite a big powerhouse. I think that's the other reason why a lot of people think Nurgle and Death Guard, and I really do think Death Guard are going to be one of the best armies of this edition as well. To start with, it's toughness. It's being able to get to the middle of the board, be able to stick out
down. Yeah, I don't know. I think because Necrons are the new baby that's coming out with Games Workshop, as in like the new toys, I think Necrons are going to be very, very powerful for quite a while in ninth. So if you are thinking about starting a new army, I think Necrons would probably be your best option at the moment. Marines are going
to as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like you can have so many toys in that new box set. Like, don't get me wrong, Marines are going to be. Everyone loves Marines. I think the Marines has probably got the biggest. Well, you might not, but I don't really have a Marine army. I do, but it's like, I think there's so many Marine players out. I think there's more Marine players out there than there is any other faction. So I think that 100%. Games Workshop really needs to. They'll always make sure the Marine player's happy, because that's their biggest source of income, I suppose. But if you are looking upon changing the way you play or the type of army you play, I think Necrons is a great opportunity to get into that aspect. And I think that if you take up Necrons, I think you're really going to enjoy it, and I think it's worth considering because the rules they're going to be getting and the cool toys they're going to be getting, it's going to be absolutely freaking awesome. And there's so many cool conversion elements that you can do on the Necrons. There's so many cool paint jobs that you can do with Necrons. It's going to be a big time to be a Necron player, and if you've got a Necron army, 100%. So the Silent King, what do we see with him? Do we see the Silent King being powerful? Do we think he's going to be good? Do we think he's going to be like the equivalent of the same as like Guilliman? Look, I know the Silent King is not a Primarch. And we know he's like, he's their version of the Emperor of Mankind. Exactly. So, and we've done a video before and we said about, the new Primarch spotted for the Necrons type thing. And it was kind of like, yeah, okay, it was clickbait. Not gonna deny that. But it was, the idea upon that was to get the conversation going and talking about it and like where we see the stats, how we see him on that. And the Silent King, I think he's going to be, I think he's going to be in the same stat line as potentially like one of the demon Primarchs, all the cool bits on it. He's going to be a real beat stick. I think we're going to see. I don't think he's going to be the guy that sits back and does a ghillie and buffs everything cool up. I don't think that's how we're going to see this guy. I think he's going to be more like your Magnus or your Mortarion, where he's going to get across the board. And whatever he touches, it's going to be like, I'm taking your life source. I'm going to like annihilate the hell out of you. I don't really know what Necrons do to you when they get in combat. I know they chop you up and do pieces, but I don't really know what they do to the bodies. And maybe Franco could find that information out and that would work out as a really cool fluff video in the future. Because we love fluff and twisted dice.
On the topic of the Silent King, the model looks huge. From the pictures we've seen, it looks massive. Him himself is pretty big as well. Take him off that off the big throne he's on. He looks huge, and I think I've seen a few people go, "Oh, the Necron equivalent to Guilliman," and like he's not. He's literally the Necron's answer to the Emperor himself. He is the big guy. He's the leader of all the Necrons in general, and which is really cool is with this edition. They're bringing in, so the new colour scheme that we're seeing isn't just a random colour change. It's not that they've not just gone, let's get rid of the classic silver and go with a gold colour. Like this is the Zarakan dynasty, which is Zarek's dynasty. So to see that they're going to get rules in this new codex, it's going to happen. So they're not just being like, oh, here's your nice shiny character that we know a lot about but we've never seen before. Like he's actually going to have a lot around him, and we know that at least his dynasty is going to be focused a lot around Blackstone, as we've seen from some of the fluff talk and that. But I think Blackstone is going to be quite a new thing to do with Necrons. I think a lot of Necron units are going to have something Blackstone-y about them. We know we've seen some models that have Blackstone with them. The Silent King model itself, he comes on a big throne with him. He's got two like servants or like advisors with him. The top, he's got like half a Catan shard, which is so cool. That Catan shard above him is so cool. But what comes with it looks like it comes with him is these two really weird. They're on separate bases. Like they look like blackstone structures, like obelisk like things. So that'll be interesting to see what kind of a part they play in
Maybe
the
it'd be
army.
like Command and Conquer, where you got the obelisk towers, like.
That'd be so cool. That'd be so
Weird
cool.
sound effects, right?
Yeah, just pointing at things and going, dead. Dead.
Now, if I can get the edit inside on this, I'm going to put them.
But no, I think I speak on behalf of every Necron player. Like, I assume the newer Necron players as well, but probably for the veteran Necron players like myself as well, where I say that we're so excited for the Silent King. And though I do my own dynasty, and something I'm very hoping for the new edition is that, like what the Space Marines got, like what we've seen in Psychic Awakening, is that we get custom traits, so we can further show our own.
Mean you just want to go, oh, I'm going to take the best bits out of this and that, and then that's it, and then like, haha.
Competitive players will do that, and obviously, but no, for me personally,
of course, listen, I'm only messing. I'm only playing because.
But for me personally, I mean, I've had my Necron since I was 11 years old, right? I've had the 13 odd years, and for me, I've always had my own backstory. Always, it was
I thought you was only
the
like
thing
16.
that got me into this. And I have the way I have the way like my dynasty plays in my head. So to get custom traits and to be like, oh, awesome! Like I can actually portray that on the battlefield now, and like for our battle reports, so we can do some custom like crusades, like with the new edition, and to be able to represent that properly and fluffy, with the custom traits is awesome.
That's going to be one thing that we're going to, once we come back out of lockdown and we get the new edition and we can start doing battle reports properly. That is one thing we've talked about, is doing some awesome fluff narrative type campaigns, taking the story out of the actual book itself and actually follow a campaign along with that. I think that's going to be absolutely friggin' awesome. So like one of the things that would be really, really cool, like with the Psychic Awakening, is if we didn't have this friggin' lockdown, like with the War of the Spire, and actually having that battle between Typhus and the Custodes dropping down would have been friggin' awesome. Like, had so many friggin' ideas with that, and unfortunately one thing that lets me down is having the funds to put the tables together, putting the train together, having the right equipment to edit some of the stuff that I want to do. It's like, I just need a few more of these babies. If I only had a few more of these, boy, you could see what magic I can work with these, and a better Mac, we would be laughing. But hopefully that's things to look forward to with Twisted Dice as we grow, and the more I can go to work and save pennies up and buy new toys to make the channel better, I promise it'll be beneficial for everyone. I've got some crazy ideas and some crazy memes and jokes and that. Anyway, I think we've pretty much hit the 30 minutes, if maybe we've gone over a little bit. But look, we thank you very much, everyone that's watched and joined us tonight. Really do appreciate it, or today morning, whatever time it is in the day for you. If you haven't done it and you like what we do at Twisted Dice, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. It really does help us out massively, and we really do appreciate it. And of course, if you want to help and support us a little bit further and help us get to that stage where we can buy new cool toys like this, to improve our content, our battle reports, etc., etc., please come and follow us on Patreon, where we do have a cool Discord chat on there, and it helps the channel out massively, helps us grow, and sooner and quicker we can get these new cool toys coming in on the channel, the better things that we can bring for yourself. So we've got some really cool ideas. But unfortunately, it's all funds. But look, that's it from me and Franco. Thank you very much for joining us. Really do appreciate it. And once we do come out of lockdown and we've got the new edition, we've got some really cool ideas with the Necrons. I'm going to say no more at the moment. That's something to look forward to in the future. Anyway, thank you very much. And hopefully we'll catch you all again very, very soon. See you later.